we saved you a seat. Welcome to episode 44 of Train Station at 8. Today we're going to be discussing Image of Hero from Phantasy Star Online. And I'm wondering if that's the right name because it sounds like a grammatical error. Joining me to discuss this is someone who knows all about grammar, my brother Steven. Hello, Steven.
It is grammatically incorrect and also the correct name.
All right, cool. Glad I got that right. Also joining us is returning guest Joe Walker. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Bryan.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I went forever thinking that the song was called Image of a Hero. I guess I just put the A in there because it sounded right, but no, it's Image of Hero.
So for people who don't know who you are and never listen to our podcast and thus are not my friend, introduce yourself in a couple sentences.
My name is Joe. I make videos on the YouTubes. I do Nintendo Direct, which is all about anything and everything Nintendo, past, present, and future. And I also do The Backlog, which is about obscure and cheap retro games. And probably more stuff that I will be thinking up because I have way too many ideas for content right now.
I feel your pain. I totally
it's a good pain, man. It's good, healthy. It's like when you do a bunch of crunches.
Exactly. It's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. And also joining us is another good problem to have, Alyssa. Hello, Alyssa.
No, I'm a good problem to have. All right.
You're also a returning guest. So why don't you give yourself a quick intro here?
So, I'm Alyssa Menez. I write music and do sound design for video games, and I've also written music for Joe's shows here. So,
the Joe shows.
The thing that
Joe show
amazes me most about Joe is how many things rhyme with his name. So it's like just constant puns. So
is that an idea for your next show, Joe? The Joe Show?
Well, he already has Nintendo Direct. I mean, he's
the Joe.
He's on top of it.
A lot of my friends actually do just call, like when I was just doing The Backlog, they called it the Joe Show. So
there you go. There you go. There you go, Joe.
Okay.
All right. And for people who don't know, I am Bryan Kelly, your host, and evil dictator. So, without further ado, let's do what we do at the beginning of all these episodes and talk about what we've been listening to recently. Joe, any interesting tunage on your part?
I actually just finished playing Danganronpa 2 on the Vita, so I've been listening to the soundtrack from both of those games.
So I know these are like visual novel style games, correct?
Yeah, the main like story aspects of it are visual novels, but they're like murder mystery games at the heart. So whenever a murder in the game occurs, it's up to you to collect evidence, and then there's a trial with all your classmates where you have like little mini games you need to play to uncover the truth.
So it's Phoenix Wright, but even weirder?
That sounds like so much fun. I love it. I'm sold on this game already.
Yeah, they're fantastic games. They've got fantastic music. I think the two of them as a whole are just probably one of the best gaming experiences I've had in my life. So I tell everybody to play them. You should play Danganronpa on the Vita if you haven't.
Right. So what is the music
fantastic.
like? Like what's
it's very adjectives are failing me at the moment, but it's very
similar game or genre that it kind of goes for.
That's the thing is I can't really compare it to anything. It's electronic and it kind of runs the gamut from really like mellow, easygoing songs for the downtime when everything's okay, and then it really kind of amps up the tempo and the instruments get a lot harder when it's going to be like the really tense courtroom scenes and everything. So it's. I don't know.
It sounds like the music is really designed to fit the game specifically. It's not like hey, we have an all blues soundtrack or something. It kind of like creates its own identity with the music.
Exactly. And with the story as good as it is, like the music just draws you in so much more that as you are, glued to your Vita trying to get through these trials, like, it makes you feel like you're there. It's awesome.
Yeah, Phoenix Wright had amazing music, but I think potentially what my favorite adventure game soundtrack of all time was, or up there, I don't know if any of you played it, but I thought Hotel Dusk had an amazing soundtrack.
I've never played it.
Okay, it was a game for the DS. Steven, you played it. I know that.
I love Hotel.
And it was like a DS, almost visual novel kind of adventure game, and it was going for a very kind of noir detective-y theme and had this incredible piano soundtrack.
Definitely on my list of things to play because it looks really cool.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Playing it.
It was one of those soundtracks that wasn't going to knock you off your feet just with your first impression, but it set the mood.
Oh yeah,
man. It made you feel like you were there, and it made you feel like you were that dude knocking on doors and trying to figure out what was going on in this messed up hotel.
Yep, and you heard it a lot as you got stuck and had no idea what to do. So yeah, this is good stuff. So anything else, Joe, or has that mostly been Danganronpa, or however you pronounce it.
Dang it, Ron Paul. No, that's really been it. And I keep listening to it at work, which is a bad idea because it makes me very tense. And then I start to get really suspicious of my coworkers.
I was about to say you accuse your coworkers of murder.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
But no, that's really been it.
Cool. What about you, Alyssa?
I've been going back to my the new Black Keys CD that came out like last year. It's been in my car, so I've just been listening to it like on repeat forever. It's such a great album. I love it. And yeah, I've also been really getting back into like the music of like Lamy.
Get up, turn your chains on. Power on. Now let's start with this tree here. Low gear, high gear.
Oh.
Play it in the car and start like headbanging, you know, and like
Okay.
the brake lights on.
I'm the one person here who doesn't know what that is.
Okay, you know Parappa the Rapper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've had this
that.
explained to me before, potentially on the show.
Okay, it's that, but your mind melts as you listen to it.
Oh, okay,
Your face melts when you listen. Like Lami's like the best guitarist in any game ever. Maybe in
wasn't
real
there
life.
another like PS2 guitar game that I'm completely forgetting?
Taru Man?
Guitaru Man. Yes.
It's weirder than
Okay.
that. It's very much in the same style of Parappa, but
Gotcha.
I haven't played either of these games. I'm going by folklore here. But Lamy is one of the few games that I looked up thinking I wanted to buy it and was scared away because it was too Japanese for me.
It is really freaking. I'm surprised that Parappa and Lamy like came to the States. They are really freaking weird games. But,
And I mean, I thought I was somewhat immune to that. I played Nobi Nobi Boy. I know what's up, but
Oh, if you played Nobi Nobi Boy, you've got no problem with Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa, sure. Lamy, that's another
Pretty much you
league.
can just go by name weirdness here.
no, God. What I really like about Lamy is that like it just somehow manages to like incorporate like every style of rock and like every style of like guitar rock possible. Like you have like you have like you straight up like hard rock in the Lumberjack song. You have like this funk like number like when you're like doing like the firefighting and stuff. You have like a kind of like surf 50s number when you have to like try to put this baby to sleep. Like it's so freaking cool. It's
Because
great.
when I think lullabies, I think surf music.
Of course, yeah. It's great song, like ma 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 ma. Like it's like really crazy, like Jerry Lee Lewis piano and stuff, just over the top awesomeness.
I want to play this game. Is it like PS2?
PS1.
Okay.
You can play it on PS2 as well.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's cool.
So good.
Do they do death metal?
There's a pretty like metal song called Fright Flight where you're trying to fly this plane with like this like bipolar captain. So like he's like super like militaristic, like in your face, like drill sergeant screaming at you, and that's like the metal part. And he gets bonked on the head. He just like kind of like I don't know, just like stones out. Is like just like it goes in this weird like odd timey like really weird loose feel, and then like it goes back into like the kind of like heavy death metal thing. It's such a great song. Yeah,
sounds incredible. It's also making me really want Nintendo to go and make a KK Slider rhythm game.
Oh my god, yes.
I would buy 16 copies of that and give it to all my friends.
I would just play the game forever. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you do want like a silly narrative-based Nintendo rhythm game, then look no further than Elite Beat Agents, because that'll get
Or
you
Rhythm
covered.
Heaven. Isn't that?
Or Rhythm Heaven, of course.
Also
yes.
on my list to play both of those.
Oh yeah, Rhythm Heaven's amazing. Absolutely
I'll drink
brilliant
that.
game. Speaking of things that you like, Steven, you've been listening to music.
Good. That was smooth. Well, you know what I've been listening to recently?
No, this is why I'm asking you.
Well, that was just my preface to my statement,
cool.
which is Saturn soundtracks.
Oh,
Just in general, because the Super Marcato
bring up the Super Marcato Bros once again.
the Super Marcato Bros, who I like to name drop often because I want more people to listen to that show, did an episode all about Saturn games recently. And the kicker is that they never played Saturn games, so they have no clue what they're talking about.
They did include a Night song, right?
Nights was track of the week.
Oh,
so,
which one?
Like the fully orchestral version of the theme song.
Pretty good.
You know that arrangement?
Cool.
Yeah.
That is all.
And that particular episode has kind of formed a hypothesis in my mind, and I'm curious to see if any of you guys can pop this bubble.
All right,
but
I will do my best.
Here's my idea: all Saturn music is amazing.
Everything I've heard is.
Yeah.
Is there a Saturn soundtrack that isn't amazing? Does it exist?
There's probably a sports game.
I haven't found it. I mean, I only have a few Saturn games, and they're pretty good ones, so they've got good music, but...
Mm-hmm. And I don't own very many Saturn games either, but I am fairly familiar with the soundtracks. I like just looking them up for fun, and almost every time I find one, it's some crazy, like, live instrumental, jazz, funky, fully orchestral, whatever. And
Well,
I mean, it feels
I think this theory might hold water. I mean, I don't have the game list in front of me. But if you think about it, the Saturn had like, 7 games or something?
I think only 6, but
And in addition to that, it was mostly Sega first party at the height of Sega's musical creativity. So like if any console is going to have a very large proportion of excellent music, it's going to be the Sega Saturn.
And all the composers were drunk on having, full Redbook audio CD support.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
It was. I mean, you got Mr. Bones, you've got Grandia and Sonic R. Anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Grand stuff here.
Hey, I listen to Supersonic Racing when I'm driving. That is a good driving song.
If you want a good driving song, listen to the remix of Supersonic Racing from Sonic Generations.
Yes.
Ooh, I will do that.
It is this hyped up pop version with a wicked guitar solo in the middle.
But no, you're correct, Steven. Also, the Saturn version of Sonic 3D Blast was amazing.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, they got a lot of good music on that the console, and it didn't last long enough for anyone to make bad music. So
yeah, that is true.
You didn't like the yeah, the end. What else have you been listening to, Steven?
I listened through the World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria soundtrack again.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. I listened to it twice in a row, actually. Okay. It's probably still my favorite World of Warcraft soundtrack, and that's saying quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. Just beautiful, beautiful music. And we recently unleashed our Mists of Pandaria Chin Stormstout figure that we got on sale from Blizzard's store a while ago.
That thing's huge.
It's massive.
Like
it's enormous. It's wonderful. It's a anthropomorphic panda with a large keg of ale.
Yep.
So it is art, indeed.
Yeah. It's a really good figure.
Yeah, it is.
He and DDD compliment each other well.
They do. They have the same expression. They're both fat.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Yep. Both carrying around a big block.
And I guess, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Yeah. King DDD could be a Pandaren, for all I care.
Yep.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is I've been listening to the music that they have released so far for Nuren. Nuren, what's the subtitle? The New Renaissance, which is a brand new project spearheaded by Jake Kaufman, whom you might know from...
Yeah, he was talking about that at MagFest.
Oh, yeah?
He had the Oculus Rift there to check it out.
Oh, I wish I was there.
I wanted to check it out. I'm one of those people who I always like one of those like sick puke in the car kids, and that carries over to Oculus Rift.
Aha.
So I was I had to decline looking at it, but it sounds like it's really cool.
Well, the good news is they are also releasing a version that you can just play on your ordinary PC or Mac.
Oh, cool.
So you're going to get more out of it if you use the headset, but you can still play it. And in fact, I downloaded the demo today for the first song.
There's a demo?
And yeah, there's a demo, a proof of concept. They're really doing this right, it seems. And what this whole project is, essentially, is a music video that you have full control. And let me try rephrasing that. You have full control over your viewpoint of the music video. So you're sitting in the middle of this 3-dimensional crazy light show dancing robots thing, but you can look around everywhere, up, down, left, right. It's designed for VR.
That sounds so cool.
It's pretty rad.
Motion sick part of me is like, oh god, that's really cool.
But if you start getting motion sick, you can just look at your feet and you'll be fine.
Oh my god. There's times I've tried out Oculus Rift at conferences and conventions and stuff, and I'm just 30 seconds, I'm just get this thing off me.
I've only tried it once, and it was a little bit spotty, but I liked it, but I could see how it could trip you out, for sure.
Yep.
And for those who somehow don't know after listening to our podcast so much,
You know, I just don't even think we should explain it anymore. Like, you need to know who Jake Kaufman is.
I think on some episode we decided that Jake Kaufman was Alyssa in disguise or something.
It's up to them just to Google Jake Kaufman at this point and take that step and find
fair enough.
But Jake Kaufman actually Elisa Menace.
Yahoo Answers says. All right,
but you might not know though who Jessie Seeley is.
I don't.
And she is maybe best known from like the vocalist on the what was that? What was Jake's album for Way Forward? What's the beat 'em up?
Double Dragon.
Double Dragon.
I know who
Double
she
Dragon.
is now.
Wasn't she
Double
in
Dragon Neon.
Tango?
Yep.
Tango?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. She's a really, really good vocalist, and she's teaming up with Jake to make this.
Jake Kaufman, for the Double Dragon, see, people are getting hints now who Jake Kaufman is. He did such a good job at creating authentic 80s pop songs. Like,
yes.
Well done, sir. Those were amazing.
Full vocals and everything. Yeah. It's genius.
On the ceiling and onto the dance floor, flashing colors are shimmering bright as she watches him prove to her tonight.
And so just because, I just like Jake so much, I'm going to support the Kickstarter. He's really trying to drum up attention, and as of this recording, it's not like going quite as fast as he's hoping, I think.
Oh, gotcha.
So, definitely check it out. Oh, sorry, Elise, I think I'm interrupting you repeatedly.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's crazy. Like, I thought, like, that thing, like, because it's a really cool idea, and, like, Jake Kaufman's, like, behind it. I thought that would be, like, taking off, like.
Yeah, I think we have a conception that Jake Kaufman is, like, a little more popular than he actually is. And that, like, I've seen him say comments like, I'm still hoping that creating video game music will work out as a career for me. And it's like, to us, it's like, that's insane. How could you not, like, have all the contracts in the world? Because to us, he's, like, the most prominent, like, most talented up-and-coming artist. But for him, he's probably still, struggling to make it all work. So, yeah, I think it's easy to, because we see his talent, to assume everyone else recognizes that. But the logistics of, economics, unfortunately, aren't that easy. So I hope that works out for him.
And it also probably doesn't help that it is such a VR-focused project,
right.
And a lot of people might just pass it up because
they don't have VR yet.
Exactly. So
I really think he should. I don't know if it diluted too much, but I can see selling the angle that it's not just a VR project.
That is actually pretty heavily included.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the Kickstarter page, like at the very top, there's a GIF of like the game being played. On the right, someone's using a headset. On the left, someone's using a mouse.
Smart.
Like they're trying to show you that you don't.
But you see, I
it,
didn't even know that when you mentioned it to me today.
Yeah,
like so,
it's just it happens because that's the cool part.
Yeah,
of it. But anyway, definitely check that out if you like it. If you think it's worth supporting it, do so because I would just like to see Jake and not only just this project, but for just Jake and Jessie to both succeed on their own because they're pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway. That's my little plug. Brian, what have you been up to? Listening.
So I've been listening to a lot of Naganuma music, which is primarily Jet Set Radio and Sonic Rush.
Yes, Jet Set Radio.
Yes.
Yeah, so just a lot of that Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. I didn't realize until fairly recently Sega released the original Jet Set Radio soundtrack that a lot of the music in Jet Set Radio Future is remixes of Jet Set Radio stuff.
Well, when did they release the soundtrack? Because I need this.
It's on iTunes like maybe a couple months ago. Yeah, check it out. It's amazing. It's, I might like it even more than the Jet Set Radio Future stuff, which is incredible in its own right.
Oh, yeah. I didn't finish Jet Set Radio Future. I did play like a bit of it, but like the original Jet Set Radio is like that. It was like that and Phantasy Star Online. That's like all I played on my Dreamcast. That's it.
Good foreshadowing.
Yes.
On that note, actually, since that's all I've been listening to, let's wait. I did get everyone right. Yes, I did. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I've gone before.
Highly rude, sir.
Let's move on to today's song, "Image of a Hero." Sorry, "Image of Hero." I have it in my notes incorrect here. It's the grammar Nazi in me. All right, "Image of Hero" from Phantasy Star Online. Composed by Fumie Kumatani. Wait. Yes, that's correct.
Yep, that's it.
So
you and your Japanese names, you got it. Though.
Yeah, I have to like pronounce different ones every week. It's great. First of all, what is everyone's background with this game? Let's start with you, Alyssa. Phantasy Star. You a fan?
I mean, I played a little bit of the original Phantasy Stars. Phantasy Star Online, I played kind of obsessively. A lot.
So did you buy the Hunter's Pass or whatever to like, play it as an MMO?
I did play it online briefly as an MMO, but then I ended up not liking it online because I would get griefed, and then like I don't think they had teabagging back then, but it was something equivalent to teabagging, I think, after they kill you or whatever, or like yeah. So I had actually more fun playing it offline.
Yeah,
I like to call it permanently stuck offline, and yeah. The online experience I didn't think was that great, but I love the game. Like I just got really immersed in the story and like the worlds and just walking around. I loved how the music would like very dynamically shift when monsters would come out, and then like when it would like go back to like peaceful again. So yeah,
there's something enchanting about that whole space opera.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it was a pretty magical game. What about you, Joe? You have much of a history with this game?
Yeah, actually, I remember Electronic Gaming Monthly did like a huge blowout coverage on it in one issue, and I was like, I need to get this game. I didn't have a job at the time, so I traded some stuff in and got it, and I fell in love with it right away. And I played it online. I mean, it was still free at the time. Like, people forget that the first Phantasy Star Online was free to play online. But then everybody started cheating, and I got killed online, and back then, when you died, you dropped the weapon you had equipped, and I lost, like, my really cool stuff, and I was like, well, I'm not playing online anymore. But I still played it offline. I loved it. I played it way too much. I had the Dreamcast keyboard.
Ooh.
I bought it again for the GameCube. I bought it again for the original Xbox. I love that game.
I find it really amusing that all of us primarily played Phantasy Star Online offline.
Yep.
Really permanently stuck offline. Like
We're in the same camp. What's really weird about how you and I played it, Steven, is so we got it, I don't know, a long time ago. A while after it came out, though, because we got the remake for the GameCube, the Phantasy Star Episode 1 and 2 Plus or whatever. And that's when we first tried it. And so that game had split screen in it, which was awesome. And that's primarily how we played it, because that's, we were brothers growing up. We play everything in split screen that we can. But the split screen had a weird way of saving progress, wherein basically if you got out, all your progress was erased. I mean, your items were kept. Yeah. Your items were kept, but everything else was
like your experience was erased, right? Like, or
I think your character level was kept and your items were kept, but like you couldn't go back to where you were in the world. Like you couldn't go back to level 2.
Wouldn't you have to hit specific checkpoints, like make it to this boss, and then you can teleport to the next?
Yeah, I think you had to beat all 3 levels and the boss. And
then you could unlock the next set of levels to have permanently. I think.
Correct.
But we are horrible with the game, apparently.
We
almost never did that.
Those bosses were hard, especially because the camera was literally broken in split screen. Because like the dragon was like above you and below you, but there was like no vertical view in split screen. So you literally couldn't see that you were standing in the middle of a pile of lava, and I mean, it would die. It was quite a trial. And then we like played it in single player. We're like, wait, this isn't hard at all.
But then again, because of that little bits of frustration, destroying the first boss and then running around and looting all of the magical gems and jewels that scattered everywhere was one of the most satisfying feelings ever in a game.
Yeah, we got to know that first level incredibly well.
I'll say. So yeah, it was an atypical introduction to the game. That's kind of how we played Sonic Adventure for the first time as well. We didn't have a Dreamcast. We just played GameCube ports.
We played splits. Oh, yeah. So like we didn't play split screen in Sonic Adventure. That was not a thing.
That was in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
It was also in Sonic 2.
Good point.
Yeah. So, the weird thing about it, the really weird thing is we spent almost all our time just playing level 1 and 2. Yeah. So we played the game a lot, but we never got very far in it. But hey, great music. Pioneer 2 is one of the best, like, overworld songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man,
that's a great song.
And actually, that's how we tend to play a lot of MMOs. We just keep creating characters over and over again and stick to the early levels because we just have I don't know what's wrong with us. We can't decide on the build we want, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not like halfway through, right? It's like 4 worlds altogether. I mean, they're huge, they're expansive, but there's only 4 of them, in like at least in the original. So
Okay, we made it further than I thought.
We never knew how many levels there
I
were.
would encourage you guys to keep going, get to the ends.
I would love to. I would love to sit down and play Phantasy Star Online split screen again. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, we should do that. Or I wish there was is there a PC port of that game?
There is. Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst.
Awesome. Maybe we should check that out.
That is definitely where I wonder, are the servers still online in any capacity?
Yeah, I think if there's not official servers for it, I know that there's fan-run ones, because I know that Blue Burst still has a pretty active community. I just never dove in for whatever reason.
Interesting. Yeah, we might want to check that out.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
It's tempting to go online and play and
Get,
oh man, I don't know if
get killed.
I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole again. The deep dark addiction of or the deep dark like Phantasy Star addiction. Like I don't know.
That's a good point. It was kind of like an MMO before they'd really caught on. So
oh man, it was addicting. Like it was ridiculous.
it was that loot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was
Those-
great though. Like when you beat the bosses and you just running around grabbing all the loot at the end. It was like you guys said, it was like really satisfying just to like do.
And then you just can't wait to equip that new laser pistol or whatever, and then hear that zzz.
Yes.
And then feed monomates to your mag.
Yeah, the
Like they
mags.
keep evolving too, like based on like your class and like
Yeah.
your
I mean, that was the
stuff,
true mark of Sonic Team
Oh,
in
yeah.
there.
How it-
Like we have to make a life. It's in our blood.
Yeah.
I had the Choo Choo mag from Choo Choo Rocket.
No
Oh,
way.
wow.
Yeah, someone online, they were probably duping items, and they were like, here, you can have this, and it was the item that turns your mag into the Choo Choo, and I was like, this is the coolest thing.
Oh, wow, that's
So cool.
fantastic. I love Choo Choo Rocket.
Future Rocket, another game with great music.
So, have you guys ever seen the secrets that were stashed in the GameCube version of Phantasy Star Online that can link up to the Game Boy Advance?
No, I didn't even know about that.
Wasn't it absurdly crazy to make?
If you go through all of these loopholes, you have to kill a certain amount of rag rappies in the first level and then restart and then go back to the spot. And in a bush, I believe there will be
a rag
is it
rappy, a talking
a-
rag rappy.
a talking and dancing rag
Yes.
rappy, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Going through all these secret loopholes, and then you would unlock mini games for your Game Boy Advance
Yes.
based on other Sega properties, such as Choo Choo Rocket and Nights into Dreams.
So cool.
It was amazing.
I don't know why they put it in there.
Is this like the second Phantasy Star Online they made on the GameCube, or is it like the port of the original one? Or
It was the port of the original. I think that the first one they put out was called Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 and 2.
okay, yeah.
And then the second one was episodes 1 and 2 plus.
I think it was Plus that had this stuff in it.
I had
Was it
one
Plus?
of those.
Oh.
I can't
Yeah.
remember which one.
Yeah, the first one I think had something, because I think you could play Puyo Puyo or something on your
okay.
Game Boy Advance or something
Yeah.
like that.
It must have been in both.
Okay. And I think the Plus mode had more character classes and stuff too, right?
Well,
Yeah.
the GameCube one that added 3 or 4 new classes compared to the GameCube one, and then
I
that
think,
carried into
there's
all
a
the
male
other
magic
ones.
user now, or there's something different. There was I forget, but yeah.
I'm trying to remember them all now. There are a couple different melee classes. There was the ranged gun.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, there
there
was
magic ones.
Hunter, Ranger, and Force were the 3.
Oh yeah, Force. There you go.
No, and then they added some more.
Oh,
Yeah. With
Those
weird
are playing
abbreviations
down
like
there, was that-
Faux
was
Mar,
Hugh Man
They're
or whatever.
named-
Who Mar, Who Cast,
Yeah, there you go.
Who Nay Whirl.
I love
I remember
Phantasy
my
Star.
first character being
Weird.
just a giant green robot. He basically looked like Vector Man. Great.
It was like Vector Man if the current Sonic Boom Knuckles redesign happened.
Yeah, there you go. That puts it perfectly. Who was your first character? I can't remember now, Steven.
I don't really remember.
Man. Yeah, it was. I think you made one of the hunters or something.
It was some guy who reminded me of Vice from Skies of Arcadia.
You haven't
that
even
name?
played Skies
So
of
cool.
Arcadia.
Yeah, but I know what Vice looks
Yeah.
like. Isn't that his name? He's got a little head, the little.
The hair, the hunter's default hair kind of looks like Vice's floppy thing.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of.
You could have the
Cringe.
little dual laser daggers too. So
There you go.
Mm.
You can make Vice.
Yeah, yeah. I still need to play Skies of Arcadia. It would probably help if I like Japanese RPGs, though.
Yeah, that would definitely help.
I want to like it. Gosh darn it. All right. So moving on to this song in particular, why did we choose Image of Hero as the song we're going to play today? If I have heard correctly, Joe, this was your idea, correct?
It was the one I suggested, yeah, and everybody just went along with it. So
why?
I hope. It's my favorite song from the game, and I think it's because it takes me back to when I first played it, because I hadn't really played a lot of games where you got to create a character. So hearing that song as I was like getting ready to, oh, sorry. I wasn't sure you were saying something.
No.
Okay. No, just like hearing that song as I was trying to like create a character and getting ready to like embark on this online game, like, cause I had never played a game like this online before. And it was just like this whole experience of me like stepping into this brave new world. And so,
I like the illusion, man.
So I don't know, just for me, it just takes me back to like that feeling of like just awe and excitement.
Yeah, there's a serious like wonderment thing going on with this music. It does feel like you're about to embark on some grand journey that you have never been on before.
Yeah, character creations in general, like, I still get that feeling from character creators if it's a game that I'm really excited to play. There's something about that process. It's like that anticipation of before the game begins that you're like prepping for it, like that little bit before Christmas morning before you open the gifts, but you see all the gifts there. It's like when you're starting that big, great adventure and you're just preparing everything, but not actually beginning the game yet. The character creation like gives you a chance to consider all the possibilities that this world can have for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything is potential at that point.
Yeah.
Like, if I choose this guy, I'll be able to use, these glowing swords, but wait a second, what would happen if I chose this one? Because then, and you go on all these trains of thought, and it's pretty fun.
So it's pretty obvious at this point that the song's role in this game is it plays at the character creation screen.
And if you're like me, you'll hear it for an hour on loop.
Yes.
You get really particular with what color your hair is and how thick your shoulders are or whatever.
Yeah, they had a pretty good character creator in this game, from what I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, it's pretty robust. Like I remember being like really lost in like the character creation screen. Just I don't even know for how long, but yeah.
It was kind of my favorite era of character creators because they let you kind of change anything you wanted, you know, like I said, hair color, like body size, your face and your hairstyle, but it didn't like let you, rotate the inner part of your left nostril.
You don't want like cheekbone width and
it didn't overwhelm you with all these boring.
It's like really in detail, like Saints Row 3, like that's really crazy. And I'll spend a long time on that one too, but that was like really, really crazily in detail.
Yeah, exactly. Like those detailed ones will create a character and then you get into the game and they look different than they did in the character creation screen. You're like, nope, my guy looks like a weirdo. I need to start over.
You spend another hour remaking them.
And then you're like, I'm actually going to create a different class. And then, So the interesting thing I found about this song is about the composer, Fumie Kumatani. What was amazing is I didn't realize how much second music she had done.
Oh, so much second.
She's done a bunch of Nights into Dream stuff. Some of the biggest songs in that she did, like a bunch of Suburban Museum stuff. She did Burning Rangers, which I've not played.
Oh, but I love Burning Rangers, even though I haven't played it.
A bunch of Sonic Adventure stuff. I think she was the primary composer along with Jun Seno.
And stuff even as recent as like Sonic Colors.
Yeah, she's done Sonic Colors, obviously Phantasy Star stuff, a bunch of Sonic Riders stuff, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic and the Secret Rings. And typically I don't go this into detail with composers, but I love Sonic music. Like it's my big passion with video game music, and I can't believe I didn't realize how integral she was to all of it. For some reason, she tends to stay off a lot of the credits and stuff when they release soundtracks, just because
Yeah, weird. Like I don't know, like that. She's like, it sounds like she's created so much like iconic music. Like, wouldn't you want credit for it?
I know.
Well, the video game industry is notoriously bad. Well, at a lot of things, but particularly crediting people for music and I guess other things as well. But I'm just tuned into the music aspect. Yeah. And sometimes it's so hard to find the original creators of these songs.
Well,
definitely.
A lot of the data comes out, like, if you look at the artwork and, like, inserts for these original soundtracks that come out in Japan, they're really good. Like, they break out what songs each composer does.
Yeah.
And that's where stuff like BGMDB gets a lot of their information. But when it's ported over to iTunes, they basically consolidate and lose all of that.
Yeah, I guess they do, like, an et al. Or something, or, like...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Or they just say Sega.
exactly. So it's a lot better
Leave it at that.
recorded in Japan, which is probably one reason they get, yet again, Japan gets a lot better information than we do about their stuff, which, I mean, kind of makes sense. But yeah, that is, I was very excited to find out how much different Sega stuff she has composed.
Yeah.
I like her, one of the quotes they have for her on this little entry on SegaRetro.org is she claims, "I create music because I love music." That's her
Best reason.
That's so cool.
It might be a translated quote because it's a little odd after that point, but I think it applies to the song today where she says, "When I create, I first begin to think about the atmosphere and visualize the spectacle. I try to sing a song where the music is likely to start in the game." Weird soundtrack, but when I think about, or soundtrack, weird quote, but the think about the atmosphere and visualize it reminds me of the song we're playing today, is I think it really gets across a specific atmosphere more than anything else.
I think all the songs in this game, they really capture like a great sense of like this atmosphere. Like I don't know, they somehow managed to get like this like juxtaposition of like the kind of sci-fi element with like the natural worlds that you start exploring. It's amazing. It's incredible.
So true.
Yeah.
Exactly. And last fact about Fumie, I like this other quote from her. She started to play the piano when she was 3 years old, and her quote on that is, "I don't remember why I started, but I said to my mother while crying, 'No more candy, please give me a piano.'"
That
That's
is dedication.
She has amazing quotes in
Yeah, she seems like a cool person.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and play Image of Hero from Phantasy Star Online, composed by Fumie Kumatani. That was Image of Hero from Phantasy Star Online for the Sega Dreamcast, composed by Fumie Kumatani. That makes me want to go play some Phantasy Star.
You know what, Bryan?
What, Steven?
There is a groove here
There's
that I
here.
appreciate in my bones.
Yeah, that bass line is impressively done.
No, I completely agree. And just like we were talking about before we listened to the song, it creates a very specific atmosphere. And it's just so laid back and chill and kind of gets your creative juices flowing, or at least it does for me.
I kind of see this as like the Muzak of the future, like the elevator music or mall
Yeah,
music.
should we be so lucky?
That you hear 1,000 years forward. Pioneer 2 also gets that across. So this is like the more chill version.
And is it just me, or could you guys really imagine like a 70s orchestra playing this song? Like, there's something about it that
a
just
Star
seems
Trekness, yeah.
Yeah,
like I can definitely hear like I don't know, like what's that instrument they use in Star Trek, the Ondiz Martinata or whatever, like I don't know, I can kind of hear that, like being able to play that part, like that synthy sort of part that does like the melody line. So I can kind of hear that. Now I want to arrange this for like an orchestra. Here be guys.
That would be really awesome.
that would be completely rad. I don't know if I haven't really heard a lot of arrangements of PSO music. Maybe I haven't just been looking in the right places. But I definitely like to hear more. But one thing I think that this game does super, super well is those synths. Like, it has a distinct style, but it has a lot of variety in it as well.
Yeah, I'm baffled. Like, how do they? I don't know. Those sounds are just so cool. Like I don't know. Like I have to do like some electronic music once in a while for like game composition. I'm just like sitting there like, there, okay, what do I do? And, like I listen to the soundtrack. I'm just like, I can't do this. This is like too beautiful. Like too good.
Yeah, it's a lot of different types of synths, but they all marry together incredibly well.
Some of them are there for sort of a more kind of the high-pitched melody of it, and the others cycle between these kind of soft and chilled out. I really don't know the
term.
I
really like that breathy synth that plays in the back.
And you know, like when they kind of cycle up with that and it keeps going up by pitches.
Oh, I love that part. It just keeps going up.
So cool.
Yeah.
It almost feels like the songs have a bit of like ambient sound within the song to complement the actual composition. Everything in it just feels so deliberate. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah. It's something interesting about it to me is I like character creation music in a lot of different games. Often it can be some of my favorite songs on the soundtrack, and they kind of share similar patterns or themes, which this one goes to. Some of my other favorite character creation songs are Soul Calibur 4 has a great one, and then Sims 3 also has a great one. And they all share a similar pattern of song making in that they start kind of with a bedrock rhythm behind everything and establish that. It's typically pretty chill, pretty slow, and gets you just comfortable with this loop. And then it applies a melody on top of that that's catchy, but not like hummable, singable afterwards kind of catchy. It's just a good little melody to put on top of the bass loop. And they strike a good balance between getting you excited and staying in the background. And I just found it interesting that there's a lot of similarities between character creation music, that they follow a certain code without it really, an unwritten code in a way. If you listen to them, it's a similar pattern in the type of engagement they're trying to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think it's like it's supposed to be composed in such a way that you can some people get we were just talking about this, some people get like really intensely into their character creation. So I think these tunes are composed in such a way that, you can leave this going on for maybe 20, 30 minutes while you're creating your character, and it's not going to get repetitive. And
every once in a while you'll become cognizant of it again. You'll start humming along, and then you'll realize your cheekbones aren't wide enough, and you'll get distracted, and it'll go back into the background. When you're done, you'll look back on it and say, "Wow, I know that song well," but I don't remember specifically listening to it that much.
So, Joe, what do you think about this song?
I don't know. I like to put it on sometimes when I just need to relax and just kind of calm myself down from something. But sometimes it's fun to just put it on and just remember my experience playing a Phantasy Star Online, because since it is tied so closely with creating characters, and I made a lot of characters in that game, it's kind of the game that really encapsulates my entire Phantasy Star Online experience, because I loved it because I was making a character that was uniquely mine and going and exploring this world and, killing rappies and picking up Meseta and doing all that fun stuff. So it's just, I don't know, whenever I think about that song, it just reminds me of how much I love that game. And I don't know, like there's some games like in Super Mario 64, which is like my favorite game of all time, like the file select screen. Sometimes I'll just sit and listen to that song, and it reminds me of like all the great times I had with that game. So Image of Hero is definitely that song in Phantasy Star Online for me.
I don't know
What a
how
great comparison. Yeah.
the file select song in Mario 64, it's like they knew the game was going to become a nostalgic classic, because that's like the most nostalgia-inducing song ever.
Oh, I love that song so much.
Like,
Well, that's an interesting point, and something that you touched on a little while ago, Alyssa, is that this soundtrack has that adventurous sci-fi sound to it. But unlike a lot of that genre of music, if you will, it doesn't feel distant. It feels warm and natural.
Yeah, there's like this organicness to it, and I'm just in awe of like as a composer of the soundtrack, because like I really feel like our composer here, she really like just like, I don't know, she just fuses like this organic feel with the sci-fi tones, but everything sounds so warm, nothing sounds cold. It's just incredible. It's beyond words for me, you know?
yeah, because if you compare it with something like Mass Effect, that creates a really good soundtrack, but it's very cold. It's very
distant.
Like with Mass Effect, it's like these worlds are strange, but you're made to feel like a stranger in them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with Phantasy Star, you have all these strange worlds, but with the warmthness of the music, you feel like you belong there.
Yeah, that's a
a
really
great way
good
to put
point,
it.
actually, yeah.
Or like you listen to the music from the first level, that forest. I don't remember what it's called, but it feels dangerous. It feels alien, even.
Yeah.
But it also feels like there's like some kind of like creatures and plants rising up from the ground. It feels like you have your boots on the earth, and you're on an adventure.
It's like, it is really cool. It's like, I don't know, they capture like a sort of peacefulness that you're in the forest, that you're in nature, but like you said, there is like this creepy kind of like, that melody is like really weird, and there's like this almost kind of like breathing sound in the background, but it's still like the instrumentation feels like peaceful and foresty. It's just so good, like how well put together that song is. It's very like ambient and very just like, oh, and I just love how it just turns to like the combat like on a dime as soon as everyone else, all through the other creatures start coming out. It's so cool.
Yep, exactly. It was also very confusing, the combat and split screen, because it's like, why is combat music playing? Oh, you're in combat. Okay.
Yeah.
I always hated being player 2, because the music always just followed player 1. But it was such a cool thing.
Music, there's only so much you can do, I guess, with like the 2 players. And
Exactly. You just, man, designing for multiple players, it's pretty tough to do. No wonder people are happy to not have to do split screen anymore.
Well, speaking of like the music and sound design, this is just kind of a random side note, but I always thought that when you charged up your laser guns or I guess is blaster a term from Star Wars alone? Can I say blaster?
Yeah, it is, but you can use it.
Okay, well, let's pretend they're blasters. There's that little bit of time that you have to wait before you can actually fire your gun when it's charging. That sound to me always felt like a musical instrumental kind of thing. Like it was like strings going, and then kapow, you shoot something. I always loved that.
Should have gotten bonus damage.
Yeah, I
First
think
thing
the
to beat.
thing had like the same idea, because you could like do like a triple attack, like a triple combo, and you kind of like charge, and it had like this kind of like that effect, like that portamento strings thing, like
right.
But it was like synthy, and like it was a really cool sound effect.
Yeah, Sega was really ahead of their time in terms of infusing music into their games and not just having a soundtrack overlaid on top of them.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
A lot of their games did a good job with this, and it kind of, I feel like it hasn't necessarily had its torch carried entirely, not just in Sega, but in games in general. As music has become more and more elaborate, it's been harder and harder to make it interactive in a lot of ways. So people
I don't know, like I feel like this is like one of the very first examples I remember of like this really cool dynamic music. I was just blown away, like sitting there as like a 14-year-old kid just like playing this, and it was like, did the music just change? What? How did this happen? Like it didn't stop and start; it just like flowed right into it. The compositions fit so beautifully together, and I was just like blown away by that. And that's something I'm still trying to like learn how to do, like what I do with like game audio and stuff. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, and I can't imagine it's easy.
No, it's
And
not.
I don't know about you, but I would go back to the store subconsciously forgetting things because I wanted to hear some more store music.
Oh yeah, they had all the different music for the different parts of the store. That was
Yeah,
cool.
it made it feel like that whole place was this bustling space station mall, and everything was shiny, and you needed to have everything.
I loved walking around the ship. Like, I know there was like very little to actually do. Like, you had the shop, you had like the clinic, you had like the mission central and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always like imagine like it sounds like really cheesy, but like I like have like character kind of stand and like look off in the distance, kind of imagine like what's over there? Are those like apartments? What is all that? Like I had like this whole
I did
in
that
my
too.
head,
Yeah, same here.
the blanks, you know.
They did such good background work on that not level at hub, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on with the skyscrapers and the ships flying around, and it was a cool world.
Really
I know that PSO 2 doesn't seem to be coming over to our part of the world, but I would just love to see this world reimagined, like in an open world or something where you could explore a little more. That would just be the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Play Anarchy Online?
That really doesn't satisfy it, to be perfectly honest.
That's my best suggestion. I'm sorry, I'm out. But yeah, that should probably wrap up the discussion in terms of what I had to talk about. At least, any last thoughts from any of you?
I guess the only thing I have left to say is that I'm surprised and delighted to see that everyone else seems to kind of agree with this nebulous, warm strangeness to this music that just somehow fits. It just works.
It's such a human element to an electronic score. Like, they do a really good job at capturing.
More of a humoral element.
Oh my god, no!
Humor.
Yes, it is the most humor soundtrack I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And on that note, we can jump here into outro stuffs.
Wait, I just want to say that if they do make a new PSO game, I want the subtitle to be the humor element.
Sega, are you listening? Do it.
I'm sure Sega is listening.
Oh yeah, totally.
The amount of times we've complimented Sonic music when no one else will, they've taken notice. All right. So if you want to tweet at us, we're at TrainStation at 8. If you want to email at us, we are TrainStation at 8@gmail.com. And if you want to YouTube at us, just check us out at our channel. It's TrainStation to 8 on YouTube. You can watch our videos, which include a static image while the podcast plays. It's
Surprise!
exciting stuff.
Well, your vernacular is suspicious, but you can also find all of our other projects at whalesorwhales.com, including TrainStation at 8. So that's like that's our version of the hub from Phantasy Star, the music source.
We need to edit our site and do a total 90s move and just like have it play the music.
Only we can have like a cursor trailing around.
And,
With, like,
animated
sparkly
gifs
effects.
dancing around too. While
in the background is just fire. Sounds awesome. I will get
All
on
right,
this redesign.
I'm moving from Squarespace over to GeoCities as we speak.
oh, GeoCities.
I loved
Back.
GeoCities. I used to make random websites all the time. Anyway, if you want to hear me tweet random stuff, you can follow me personally at Lord Meldor, Meldorr, and Steven is the much more aptly named Stephen Keller 180. Joe, where can people find you on the internet?
You can tweet at me at Space Kappa. That's exactly how you think it's spelled.
With a K.
Yes. And then I actually just changed my YouTube channel title over to Space Kappa, so you can search YouTube for that, and you'll find the backlog and Nintendo Direct and all the other random stuff I do.
Cool. I remember your conundrum on what you were going to rename your channel. And
Yeah, it was a long decision because my channel's not very big, but it felt like I was taking a big step.
Oh, I know what you mean. I've been doing some rebranding stuff recently, and it's tough. You don't realize how much work goes into what seems like should be a really obvious name.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh man, this decision means everything when really it's just kind of.
Yeah, other people are like, what? You named it basically what it was before. And I'm like, no, I changed it completely.
It is huge. It does open you up to do like a lot more stuff now, which is really cool.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, where does Space Kappa come from?
I had like an online name I used to use many, many years, starting from when I was a teenager, and I eventually I wanted to break away from it, and Kappa, Kappa is a mythical Japanese water demon.
Yes, that sings sea shanties.
Yes. And I liked them, and so when I was making I was changing my Xbox Live gamer tag over, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be Samurai Kappa. But then when I got a PlayStation 3 and I was making a PlayStation Network ID, that was already taken.
Oh no!
So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do Space Kappa, and I like that better. So I switched everything over to that.
Nice.
Because the only thing cooler than a samurai is an astronaut or one who goes to space.
That is true.
And so
basically,
I hear
you just need Christina to draw a Kappa with like an astronaut helmet on as your.
No, I already have that. She did that years ago.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Put it on your channel
in
then.
the books, man.
It is on.
Well,
it's on like the featured video on my channel right now.
I obviously need to be spending more time on your channel. I'm so embarrassed.
Now, I like the name Space Kappa a lot, but did you ever consider Kappas are Kappas? I like the ring of that.
It's got a good ring to it.
I'm actually thinking of changing ours to space whales.
Oh man,
Space
we
whales
missed
or
our
space
calling.
whales?
Well, no, you gotta start first with samurai whales, and then go to space whales.
These are
Samurai
all
space whales. Duh.
our samurai space whales.
The road to success.com.
Rolls
all right.
off the tongue.
Alyssa, where can people find you on the internet?
You can tweet at me at AC Menace, MENES, and my website is acmenezmusic.com. So you can find me on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So music stuff. You do like music for games and so on. So if someone wants someone to make soundtracks for them, you are the person to contact.
Sure, yeah. Or for, your web series, like Joe here,
Or like
I do music and sound design, sound effects, so yeah, if anyone's listening and they have a game in development and they need music or sound effects, let me know, hit me up.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that covers the whole panel, Stephen, correct?
I believe so, indeed.
All right. You sound very sure of yourself.
I was just making sure there wasn't someone hiding in the shadows. I mean, I've got
It's like-
Waluigi sitting on my shelf over there, like.
Yeah, you follow him at Waluigi73.
Somebody say Waluigi?
Waluigi, I got a little stuffed Waluigi staring at me all day.
Yeah, we got
all day
Waluigi
and all night.
time.
It's always
Waluigi
Waluigi
Amiibo,
time.
is there?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
That's like
you
the
would.
biggest Amiibo disappointment. No Waluigi.
They're gonna do it, but it's just gonna be an assist trophy capsule. You can't actually see Waluigi.
Well, considering his normal Waluigi tennis pose, they're gonna have to encase him
In
in
plastic.
clear plastic.
That's right. He normally stands on one toe. All right. We could go on forever talking about Waluigi. So
Oh, boy.
I'm
We're gonna
afraid-
make a Waluigi podcast. Waluigis are Waluigis.
I'm pretty sure we were brainstorming that last time you were on the show.
I-
Lisa.
Yeah, that's right. We were gonna turn the Waluigi hour at 8 or something.
Train Waluigi's at 8. I don't know. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Join us next week for more stuff. We don't know what it's going to be yet, so I'm going to give you no details.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening, and we will see you next week to talk more about video game music.